Hello everyone and welcome to my new video about the World vs World DPS Chinese Berserker. I don't know why this build is called Chinese. I saw it on Meta Battle, even if I made some changes to it, but I think it's because it's mostly used on the Chinese servers. Anyways, let's get into the build. First trait line is arms, which also gives us 5% more critical chance, so you need less precision in this build compared to the non-Chinese Berserker build, which uses the strength trait line instead of arms. Here we get the Signet Mastery, which is a nice trait because it activates the lesser Signet of Might every 20 seconds, and 10 of your attacks become unblockable, and also Signet of Ferocity applies each time you use a Signet, so you get 100 ferocity for 1 minute, which is actually nice, and also it recharges the cooldown of the Signets. Condition damage, we don't need this mostly. Then here burst skills inflict vulnerability if they hit, and additional vulnerability if they hit with a critical attack. This is very nice since we cap the critical chance with this build, so every attack will inflict 10 stacks of vulnerability per target every 5 seconds. Then here we get another Condi trait, but we don't need this. And here is the main reason why this build is played, since each critical hit will grant us bonus adrenaline, and we really need the bonus adrenaline because it's really hard to stack the adrenaline oftentimes unless you are fighting like melee or constantly spamming your F1, but you can't do it. You can do it like all the time because the enemy might move outside your F1, the Scorched Earth, I mean. Because they changed it, and you can now use the F1 from the core warrior instead of the F2. But now you gotta press F2 to go Berserker mode, and then you gotta press the Scorched Earth. So with this, every hit from the Scorched Earth and every critical chance, basically every critical hit, will grant us bonus adrenaline. So the Scorched Earth hits like 20 target, I think, total, maybe more. And so you get a lot of adrenaline, and you will be almost all the time full adrenaline, and you can spam your F1 like you want. Then we go into Discipline. On Discipline you can get Oro Warrior Sprint, which gives a 3% damage increase, which is not really the best, but we get removes Immobile on the Whirlwind attack from Greatsword and from the Rush, which are movement skills, both of them. So it's your choice. I would go for the Crack Shot because we get the Harsing Arrow, lower cooldown, 20% lower, and I will explain why this skill is important. Then here Destruction of the Empowered, 3% damage per boon on your target, and with all the Scrappers, Elementalists and so on, Firebrand, our targets will have at least 5 boons, so it's like 15% damage. And here you can choose this is a more greedy trait because it just gives ferocity, so it's a fixed boost of your damage. But this is a 7% more damage on your burst skill, which is your main damage dealer, like the F1 from Greatsword or Longbow. And also each burst skill gives you back 33% of your adrenaline, which is nice to spam more the F1. On the Berserker we get increased Berserker mode duration. A percentage of precision is given as a bonus to ferocity. This bonus is doubled in Berserk mode. This is a huge trait, like a very big boost on the ferocity. And then we get Bloody Roar, which is a 10% damage increase when in Berserker mode, and we also get 3 seconds and a half of resistance when we enter Berserker mode. Let's get a look to the traits, to the gears. Here I went Marauder, everything is Marauder basically, with the Scholar runes. I used some precise word versus word infusion to get the extra precision, but you can change, like instead of Marauder you can go Assassin or something like that. Just aim to reach the 75 critical chance without Fury, because Fury gives 20%, 25 actually, I mean. My mistake. This trait gives a 5% critical chance increase on Fury. It's not base. You need to have Fury. So Fury gives 25. So your goal is to reach 75 here. And with this, also with Signet of Fury, it's very easy to reach it. Okay, the weapons and the armor, it's all Marauder. Then here, Marauder. Okay. This trinket here, the accessories, one of them I use the new stats, the dragons, which gives less precision but more ferocity. So if you don't need a lot of precision, like in this case, we can go for ferocity and still have the nice vitality for survivability, and the ferocity is of course critical damage, which we need. Then the other trinket, the other accessory, is instead Marauder. We have Marauder on the amulet, and then we have both of the rings on the dragon stats, which is this one. I don't know how you can get dragon, to be honest, because I haven't been doing a lot of PvE lately, but if you have legendary gears, you can choose it very easily. Then let's see the skills. Okay, on the longbow we have the first skill, of course, the auto attack. It's not bad, but it can be reflected, it's a projectile. Skill 2, same, but it's a nice damage if you use it on melee. Like if all three fans hit, it's like a nice boost of damage, nice burst. And then we have the skill 3, which is the most damage skill in this build, and it's a projectile, very slow projectile, but it's actually nice if we pair it with Signet of Might, which makes our attacks unblockable. And if an attack is unblockable, it also means that it can't be reflected. So you can cast this skill, and like Warrior Bubble will not stop it, because Warrior Bubble blocks the projectiles. But if you are unblockable, your projectiles cannot be blocked or reflected. And this damage is a huge base damage skill, as you see. Like auto attack is 800 for damage, critical damage. Skill 3 is 4k, so it's a huge damage skill if ranging against the enemy. Then we have the skill 4, which is very low damage but applies blindness, like it's almost useless, to be honest. Then we have pin down, which is a piercing arrow, which applies immobilize and bleeding for a long time. It's a very nice skill in PvP, but in War vs War, with all the Condi cleanses, spams, and also the reflect and the block projectile mitigation, it's almost useless. So mostly the longbow is used for this skill. Like you are ranging your enemy and you are not committed yet to use your Berserker mode, you can be like, I use the Signet of Might, so my attacks are unblockable, and you go skill 3. So it cannot be reflected and they cannot be blocked. If the enemy is there, you will hit them. I'm being chased by some noobs. Now let's go to the greatsword skills. They are almost all of them are useless except the skill 3 and the skill 5, which are very nice for escaping from your enemy. You can use them to remove immobilize if you have the straight warrior sprint, like bots. And also skill 3 gives you a very nice evasion every few seconds. I'm waiting to get killed by these guys so I can explain better. Once you are in combat, you can press the Signet of Fury, and oftentimes it may happen that you cannot enter combat even if you need to, because like enemies keep blocking, or you missed, or they are too far. So for these situations I recommend to attack some no, I don't know, like veteran guards if you are in a keep, enemy keep or tower, or you can hit like this creature here, or you can hit a wall, a flame ram if they are enemies. So let's say you have enemies there and you need to enter combat. Why do I say this? Because if you are not in combat and you press Signet of Fury, this happens, your adrenaline starts depleting instantly, so you cannot use your Berserker mode. So before using your Signet of Fury, be sure you are always in combat. So you can attack, let's say the enemy is here, you can attack this Drake in this case, you enter the combat, Signet of Fury, and now your adrenaline won't go down, press F2, you enter combat and Berserker mode, F1, you can press 6, which is Blood Reckoning, which is our healing skill, but we mostly use not to heal, but to reset the cooldown of our burst skill. In fact, this one recharges the burst skill completely and also gives you 30 adrenaline, which is the max. Then Signet of Fury, I already said it, is needed to enter to give full adrenaline instantly. So you enter your Berserker mode, which is like you don't do damage if you don't enter the Berserker mode almost. So it's very important you use it properly. Then we got Balance Stance, because you might need some extra stability if your firebrands slack, or even if the enemy has strong corruption. This one pulls stability, so if they remove the first stacks, you will get it another second later, and also it makes you immune to critical hits, meaning that your enemy cannot critical hit you, of course, meaning you will survive much more during this stance, which lasts 4 seconds, so it's nice. Then we got Signet of Might. I would recommend it to use it when not when we are on bow, unless you wanna spam from the distance, like you are fighting your enemy, you are not committed to use your Berserk yet, even if you could, because your enemy is too far, or like you are poking the enemy. So I would recommend to use the Signet of Might, so your skill 3 from the bow will hit, and since it hits for a lot of damage, it's your main skill, and it's unblockable also with the Signet of Might. As a lead skill we use Battle Standard, which has a huge AoE, on which it finishes downed enemies, like it's an automatic stomp. And you see the inner area here, the inner area is to stomp, the larger area is to revive. So beware of this, because you might want to use this properly. Like let's say this juvenile Drake here is a dead enemy, a downed enemy. If you do this missing the AoE, I don't cast it, but if you miss the centered AoE, the internal AoE, it will not revive, it will not be stomped. Always focus the enemy with the smaller AoE, like this. If this was a downed enemy, it would die, so always beware of it. And also you will give some boons when it casts, and it's not very good. Like the boons are good, but the AoE is pretty small, so if you like walk here, you stop getting the boons. So how do you use these Signets? I already said it. This one is for the adrenaline, this one is to make your attacks unblockable. It's very good even in melee, because it makes your F1 from the Berserker mode Greatsword become unblockable. So let's enter combat. You enter, and now this is unblockable. Imagine 8k damage in 1 second, unblockable in the enemy blob. It gives 10 stacks of unblockable. It's not much, but like this skill hits 5 targets per hit, so you can have guaranteed hitting the first 10 hits from this. Like total is 15, since it's 3 times 5 enemies. Always beware of the Signet Mastery trait, which is about granting a stacking ferocity boon if you use your Signets. So if you see, there you go, you got the ferocity, Signet of Ferocity, which is 5 times 50 seconds 100 ferocity, so it's a huge damage boost. And also it casts the lesser Signet of Might when striking a foe below the health threshold. If you attack an enemy below 50% HP, it will automatically cast you lesser Signet of Might, which makes 10 unblockable more attacks, like 10 more. This is 10 and this is 10. And it's called lesser Signet because this one is 5 mights, 5 stacks of might, and this one is 10. Also 10 stacks of might, it's a huge damage boost. I hope you understand everything. I don't speak English so well, I'm sorry, and also I didn't make a video for a long time, and I never speak English in real life. I'm Italian, I only speak Italian, sorry. If you have any question, you can ask me in game to this nickname here, metallone .4277. Okay, forget it, and see you on the next video.